And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. Welcome to space. Please note the time and date stamps below this video as we're showing you what the sun looks like at solar maximum. As we've created a massive amount of work for us to do as we enter a new solar maximum coming out of the solar minimum. Anyway, this is what the 171 angstroms view of the eastern limb of the sun looked like back on March 4th, 2012. Here's what it looks like now. Now, we do have some activity rising there, and there are some filaments popping up. And we do see evidence of activity on the far side of the sun, south of the equator. We'll get into it in a minute. First, let's look at the full disk in 171 angstroms, and this is 8 hours and 45 minutes from today, February 5th, 2020. Small active region kicking up there south of the equator. No sunspots. And let's look at the 193 angstroms view. You see a very well-defined coronal hole north of the equator here, as well as one right on the equator. And again, some active regions rising there in the east. Let's look at more data. X-ray flux is quite flatlined there. No flaring happening. And I just wanted to take a side note to note the aurora watches on spaceweather.com. Spaceweather.com, always great photos of aurora. And here's another great one from Nordlichter Photo. Well done. Let's get back to data. 10.7 centimeter radial flux, all the way down to 70 solar flux units. So back to solar minimum light conditions, folks. The KP index is at 2. And let's look at the real-time solar wind. We did see a recent wild shift in the phi angle here. Current phi angle around 320 degrees. And we saw some induced magnetic fields on the Earth when that phi angle switch shift happened. We'll show you that in a minute too. Current solar wind density 3.68 protons per cubic centimeter. Current solar wind speed 351 kilometers per second. And we are expecting an incoming coronal hole wind stream from that coronal hole system that was in the south associated with the south polar field. And it looks like it's going to be a co-rotating system. So we're expecting possibly some geomagnetic unrest in a day or two from that. There's the data from ACE looking corroborative as usual. Next to the magnetosphere movies. And this is 4 hours of data courtesy University of Michigan. And you're going to see the effect of that phi angle shift. Keep in mind, folks, solar plasma has the ability to block magnetic fields, or at least solar plasma has the ability to block the sensing of magnetic fields. And here you'll see this spike come in at around 8 o'clock. Did I miss it? Just a small little perturbation there on the bow shock side, which is shown here on the left. And thanks, new viewers. We're nearly at 1,500 subscribers. Oy vey! Let's look at the ground geospace magnetic perturbations, which were much more significant at the time that phi angle shift happened. So here around 8 o'clock, you're going to see a big global magnetic spike. And we're looking at the polar view here to see where those are based. All kinds of oddities in the South Pole region here. And here you'll see it a little bit better on the globe view. Again, 4 hours of data here, and we archive 4 hours of this every day on the channel because this is not yet accessible. Hopefully they will have a publicly accessible archiving feature in the future. It's a feature-filled future. Anyway, we see some pulses coming out of the Pacific Ocean. Ionosphere is looking a little more normal today, and we'll show you that in a minute too. Anyway, there are the changes in Earth's geomagnetic fields otherwise known as delta B. If you're wondering where that comes, it's from the Space Weather Modeling Framework. Click the links below the video if you want to read about it. Scroll down here, click Details, click Space Weather Modeling Framework, and you can learn all about how the data is derived. It's from a lot of different sources. Relativistic electrons are still at moderate levels. And there you have the greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volt electron flux. Came up a little bit higher, almost reached the lower level of the alert threshold yesterday, and we're expecting this to rise a little bit more here. And this could enhance the impact of the incoming coronal hole wind stream. We won't get into the physics in this video. There are the other electron fluxes. This is the greater than or equal to 0.8 mega electron volts, as well as greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volts on the same graph. My personal favorite. And depending on when the coronal hole wind stream arrives, this is either going to crater or rise back up. So this could help to accelerate the solar protons, and let's don't get in the weeds about it. F2 ionosphere layer, entire ionosphere, is looking a little bit more normal today, as we don't see such significant charge ups at nighttime over the South Pacific off the west coast of South America. So a little bit of a relaxation of the ionospheric anomalies there. And there you have the current image, looking quite normal, actually. GOES magnetometers are continuing to look spiky and sawtoothed as we forecasted for the past several days. So no surprises there. And let's just try to refresh the Gong 2 data here, as this is over 5 hours old. So this data 5 hours and 43 minutes old. Looking at the heliospheric current sheet here, shown in red and green. South Pole is still in charge of the polarity of the current sheet. And you can see a little bit of activity on the opposite side of the sun there, an indication that there are some active regions, most likely south of the equator, the solar equator, that is. And magnetometers are going to continue to be spiky over the next couple of days here. And we'll be interested to see what's going on with those active regions that are rising over the east. And let's go to earthquakes. We saw a deep one right off the coast of the Bay of Plenty there, North Island of New Zealand. And that one coming in at 282 kilometers depth. So heads up New Zealand for a larger quake at the surface. That is significant. Again, 282 kilometers there. And we see Puerto Rico getting hit again. And we're just going to scroll up the list. No quakes over a 6 magnitude, but a general uptick here all around the Ring of Fire, as well as some Hawaiian quakes. Let's check out this one. Another deep quake in Indonesia, this one farther west than the ones we saw in the past couple of days. That 4.3 magnitude quake at 182.3 kilometers depth. I guess I can't scroll when that thing's popped up there. And let's just continue up the list here. There's another quake in the rift zone north of New Zealand. That one closer to the surface. A couple quakes hitting Hawaii once again. And there Puerto Rico adding insult to injury with another 5.0 quake. Hopefully not too much additional damage there in Puerto Rico. Please leave a comment, Peter Schiff, if you view the videos. Here's a deep quake at Tonga. Nearly 100 kilometers there at a 4.9 magnitude. And this area here around Tonga and Fiji is the deep earthquake capital of the world. 5.1 strikes the Solomon Islands. A deep quake at Afghanistan. Heads up, Afghani viewers, or if you're in the U.S. military stationed in Afghanistan, you could be waiting for a larger quake at the surface there. Here's some deep quakes striking western South America. Still my favorite place for the next major earthquake. And just scrolling up the list here, here's a 5.3 out in the Aleutian Islands at depth. That 5.3 magnitude quake at 116.2 kilometers. Here's a very deep quake at Vostok, Russia, not to be confused with Lake Vostok, Antarctica, where I live. This 4.4 magnitude is at 389.1 kilometers depth. Very deep quake there, one of the deepest we've ever seen in that area, if not the deepest. Another deep quake in Indonesia. Heads up Oceania for a larger quake at the surface. And please have a disaster plan, folks. If you're in an earthquake-prone zone and buildings start to fall, know which ones will fall before they start to. Just knowing which building facades will crumble when you try to evacuate the building you're in makes a huge difference. And by the way, these two quakes here, both 5.1 magnitudes, were at the surface, not at depth. Now we're looking at smAsho volcano here. Just wanted to show you the location of that one as we keep putting more and more volcanoes on the map. smAsho today is on the list. And let's see if the webcam shows anything. I don't think that's the volcano, but there's a girl on the beach. Anyway, let's zoom out and look at the wind maps here. And we're going to let this advance. This is the GFS forecast for your pressure zones. We usually let this advance about 24 hours until about 12 Universal Time tomorrow. And we'll be making 3 videos today, folks. We've got so much stuff to cover that we got to make 3 videos. So if you're not getting notifications on YouTube, for instance, please press the notification bell, although no guarantees that you'll actually see the videos pop up. So make sure you check BitChute, check youtube.com/smAshomash to find all the content. And there's where pressure zones are anticipated to be by the GFS forecast around tomorrow at noon Universal Time. Next, the volcano rundown includes Mount Aso exploding, producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Mount Sakurajima, volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery. Not sure on that one. Mount Ibu, flight level 6,000 there as it explodes. smAsho exploding. 14,000-foot ash plume there. That's why we showed you its location. Mount Dakono, continuous emissions, flight level 7,000 there. Popocatépetl, back on the alert list. Fuego exploding. 15,000-foot ash plume there. Nevado del Ruiz, back on the alert list. Sangay exploding. 19,000-foot plume there. Revenador exploding. 16,000-foot plume there. And while we're unable to detect whether or not Sabancaya is currently erupting, please do not attempt to do a handspring over Sabancaya, as it could be unfortunate for your health. Have you checked out smashomash.com/forum? We've got a very, very extensive data repository there that we update every single day about the coronavirus. How does it cause severe illness? Well, this is the latest update here on smashomash.com/forum. There are 4 ways. It's pneumonia, sepsis, direct viral damage to things like organs, and I don't remember what the other one is. Oh, complications of hospital care. Avoid the hospital if you can, folks. They'll kill you in those places. You think it's a coincidence so many people die in hospitals? I used to work in one, and not planning on going back anytime soon. Here's the current graph, and it's leveling out a bit there in China. That's a good thing. Although keep in mind, there are hundreds of millions, I believe, now quarantined to their homes. So it's going to be pretty tough for China to get accurate numbers on confirmed cases. There's the rest of the data. 24,562 confirmed cases, pushing 500 confirmed deaths, almost all of them in China. And apparently 910 people have recovered. And now we're looking at lightningmaps.org as we've moved on from human health stories. And it looks like some lightning striking here in North America. Let's give a lightning shout out. And where's the lightning coming down? Or is it going up? Tupelo. What the heck state is that in? Tupelo, Mississippi. Shout out Tupelo, Mississippi. There's thunder rolling in. Next time you hear thunder, perhaps consider checking out lightningmaps.org. And yes, those are the sound waves, folks. It will actually show you the anticipated sound waves of the lightning strikes. So freak out your friends and predict thunder. There are some. Interstate 22 has got some lightning on both sides of it right now. And if you were driving in that area, that would have been pretty scary. Perhaps arcing right over your car. Okay, so here's the U.S. Doppler radar map. And we're going to bring in an extra weather section today. Check out the line of ice stretching all the way from Connecticut down to Texas. And we're going to look at that convergence zone over Texas real quick, as they're getting heavy snow and ice in central Texas. And there are massive freeze warnings all across the country. Check out weather.gov if you need to find out what's going to happen where you are. Weather.gov. And here's a close-up of those storms over central Texas there. And man, oh man, some heavy bands of snow falling there. And let's move on to the water vapor map. And there's a U.S. water vapor map. Due to a request from a viewer yesterday, we're actually going to show you the European water vapor map also. And we're going to close in on this area over Texas. And check it out, folks. It is a proper atmospheric collision happening there. Massive pressure gradients still over the center of the state. As you can see, dry air being pushed against that more warm, moist air over southern Texas. Major convergence zone there. And let's move on to show you 3 hours of water vapor over Europe and North Africa. There's the water vapor map of that region. And that's a 3-hour loop there, folks. Here's the jet streams on Null School. And you can see the way we're looking at the North Geographic Pole view here. And you can see how meridional that jet stream flow is there, especially over the North Atlantic. And let's look at the normal view we usually look at. There's the jet streams of the Western world. As you can see, it's making multiple 180-degree bends. It's quadrupled up here over the Atlantic Ocean. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 distinct jet streams in that area. Let's look at the east. Extreme jet stream patterns, folks. Here we've got some backwards jet stream flow both over the equator and off of the east coast of Madagascar there. So pulling some very cold, some very hot air. And yeah, meridional jet stream flow, folks. Hey, thanks Smash Team for tuning in. Please don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy the content, as we have hundreds and hundreds of videos about space weather, cosmology, even things like movie reviews. Thanks to our patrons for being assistant and indeed associate producers. Thanks to our latest patron. Thanks, Evan. Hopefully I'm able to call you out by name. We are going to be doing a credits crawl soon that includes all of our patrons, so stay tuned for that. Consider becoming a patron if you haven't already. It's the real source of funding for our operations here. Stay tuned for a bonus feature. And it's the 304 angstroms view here, looking at 48 hours of the local yellow dwarf. We see some filamentary collapses happening down here in the southwest, as well as the significantly sized filament in the northwest, which is largely on the other side of the sun, by the way. Also some interesting crown prominence looking features up here. You'll see toward the end of the video, you'll see some crown prominence happening up there. That is a sign of higher solar activity. Anyway, we're out, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Expect 2 more videos coming out shortly. Thanks for staring at the sun. When you do so, don't drink it. If you drink, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.